Misplaced envy is a really big problem. Resentment's a really big problem. Historical ignorance is a really big problem. People don't know how bad it was. They don't know how far we've come. They're never taught that. They're not taught how terrible things had become in many places in the 20th century. Like my students in my personality class, these were smart kids at the University of Toronto. They were well educated by comparative standards. None of them knew anything about what happened in Stalinist Soviet Union or in Maoist China or in Cambodia. No one had ever taught them. And so I think, young people, they see inequality in the world. And they see some of the painful consequences of inequality, because there are painful consequences. And then they're enticed into finding a quick source of blame that requires no thought, and also enticed into manifesting a moral virtue that is neither moral nor virtuous. And so here we are. And instead of, I've thought for many years, decades, that whenever I walk out on the street and things aren't on fire, I'm pretty damn thrilled at how stable and peaceful things are. I don't take electricity for granted. I don't take the integrity of the supply chain for granted. I truly think these are miracles. I don't think the fact that the default interaction between human beings in the Western world, broadly speaking, the default economic transaction is based on trust. I don't take that for granted. That's a bloody miracle. It took us, hardly any societies have ever managed that, and it took us thousands and tens of thousands of years to produce that. But I think our children are so badly educated by people who have no idea. They have no idea about economics. They have no idea about history. They have no idea about privation or suffering. They're looking for easy answers and people to blame for the remaining, catastrophes of the world. And I think your work is an unbelievably good antidote to that, and something to offer young people that's so bloody positive with it, and that it's miraculous and not naive at the same time. Like, what a good combination that is.
Well, here's the question I love to ask my students is, what would I have to pay you for you to never use your iPhone and the internet again for the remainder of your life? And I've never been able to get a student to do it for less than $5 million. It's like, when you have this $5 million thing that you own, you're all 5 millionaires because you get to walk around with these devices.
Definitely.
You are so prosperous, so rich compared to anybody that's come before you. How could you not be anything other than just hyper grateful for the life that we have?
Well, I think that one of the things we need to do about this is we need to start training young people to think about themselves as possessed of more possibility than they know what to do with, and then encouraged to harness that so it'd say, well, look, you have all the food that you could have, and you have all the information that there is. You've got it all in front of you. Now that you have it all in front of you, what's the most noble vision you can bring forth to make use of that possibility? And I know some of the research I've done on helping people make vision for the future authoring program, we show pretty clearly that you can motivate students. We dropped the dropout rate of boys in community college 50% by just having them sit down for 90 minutes and develop a vision. So you say, look at what's in front of you. Way more than anyone's ever had in history. And some people might have a little more in front of them than you, certainly, but when you have more than you can ever use, how much do you need? And then who should you be to live up to that? Well, that's, our collective problem at the moment, trying to solve that, and hopefully solving it before we let bitterness and resentment and historical ignorance get the upper hand, because it's kind of a battle at the moment. With our computer technology, every single child, I would say on the planet, but certainly in the States where everyone has access to computational equipment, every single child should be an expert speed reader, because computers could train children to automate letter, phoneme, and word recognition perfectly, rapidly, because computers are great at mass practice. And if the faculties of education had an ounce of integrity, they would have been working diligently on the problem of getting children over that hump, because there's a hump in reading comprehension, because to begin with, like there is when you're learning how to play music, you have to automate letter recognition and syllable recognition and word recognition and then phrase recognition, so you get a phrase at a glance. As soon as you've got that, you can start to read for meaning. It's no longer effortful. And then as soon as you can read for meaning, of course, it's just as engaging as watching a movie, which people obviously don't have to be taught to do. And so there are all these problems that are laying out there in the world, and people have a set of problems that bug them that they could be working on fixing. And they have all this technology to fix it. It's like, that's what you want to do, is figure out what you think needs to be fixed, and then take all this wealth that you had put at your disposal and fix it, man. And then you got something to do with your life. And we could start with the proposition that it's good that you're around. You don't have to hang your head in shame because you're ruining everything. Quite the contrary. That's actually wrong. And I don't just mean wrong morally. I mean wrong in the sense you guys have pointed out. It's wrong technically. No, that's wrong. Those biologists got it wrong.